what advice you will give to maybe a lender or that is currently in the retail space and they've been thinking about the broker side of the business? What advice would you give them?
The main thing, right? The grass is green where you water it,
Okay.
right? So I'm not saying that the right choice is broker for everyone. And I'm not saying retail is great for everyone. It really is up to you which one you will make your
What's a
business
better
out of
fit for
it.
yourself,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mindset of Wealth. As always, here your host, Jose Cereceres, and with my beautiful wife, Denise. Denise?
Hi guys, so excited to be back here talking about all things real estate, all things life. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast.
So today she wanted to cover a little bit of her choice of jumping from the previous place where she was at to where she's at now today, and the reason why she decided to do that. More importantly, the feelings that came with it. So you want to share with us all that experience?
So that's right. So last year, I decided to make a switch. I had been hearing all these things about switching from retail to broker. And essentially, for those that don't know the difference between a retail and a broker, you do lending in both, and both are great, right? But I was just faced with a decision to make because I wanted to explore other options and have options to work with more than one bank, right? Because where I was at before, I only had access to one bank, the one that I worked for. Whereas now that I'm in the broker space, it's I have options to like over 20 different banks. Um, but needless to say, it was a very tough decision, remember? Like it took me a while. And I think at some point you had already kind of started putting in the idea of me to at least explore other options.
You know, to be honest with you, one of the biggest things why I wanted it is because I have spoken with a lot of people about the broker space compared to the retail, and the fact that you have the flexibility to a lot of the times get better rates, right? And sure enough, once you made that transition, one of the biggest things was that we were able to get better rates for our clients. So I was super excited about that because it gave us a lot of flexibility with our clients for a better payment, even a little, I get approved for a little bit more,
Higher purchase
right? I don't want
price.
to take you thunder, but I am taking the thunder a little.
No,
But that's
yeah.
that's one of the things that I was like, you know what, we need to explore different avenues, and I understand the feeling of being loyal, right? That was a big part for you, which I totally understand. But there's a point where you have to also see what's going to be better for you, what's going to be better for your family, what's going to be better for your clients in this case, right? Which is
Yeah.
why this transition happened.
Yeah. And although you had been talking to me about it for a while, for me it was very difficult because I get very bonded to the people that I work with, the company that I work with. I just create those relationships. I like to create those relationships where I work, but it was a very difficult decision to make last year. I know that I had heard all these horrible things about the broker space, and I quickly realized that everyone's going to give you advice based on how they interpret the things, right? Just like, the grass is always greener somewhere else. Well, no, the grass is green where you water it,
Everybody
right?
has a different experience when
Yeah.
they go to the circus.
Yeah. Yeah. Say that again. So everyone has a different experience when they go to the circus.
Yeah, everybody has a different
100%.
interpretation of what happened there.
Yeah, 100%. So, I heard all these stories, and I was very actually scared and frightened to make the wrong choice. And again, it was a little emotional for me because I was very, very attached to who were my managers at that time, right? But needless to say, I think it's one of the best things I could have done, honestly, in my career, was make that jump. And that in itself is a big lesson. I've noticed that every time I make a difficult leap of faith, like where I take a difficult decision to do something different, I am scared, very scared. I was gonna cuss,
So
but I'm not gonna cuss.
let's talk about that, right, for a
Yeah.
second, because I was gonna about to ask you
Yeah.
that is it the fear? Is it that you were loyal to someone else? Was really the driving force behind it?
I think it was a combination of both. I felt the heartache of disappointing those that had been part of my growth. Because quite
That
honestly,
makes
when
sense.
I joined the last company I work with, there was so much that I learned there. The people that I work with, my managers primarily, I feel like they played a big role in a lot of
And your growth,
in
yeah.
my growth, and I will never ever take that away from them. I will always have a very special respect and admiration for them for that. So it was definitely the fear of disappointing them. It was almost like a breakup, you know. It was, I know it sounds a little cliche, but it was a little bit of a breakup. So it was that. And then the other fear I had is not knowing, right? So that one too. I was very complacent where I was at because I knew the system, I knew the underwriter, I knew all these things, right? So I had it down to the T. So going somewhere else and being the rookie, it was actually probably hurting my ego a little bit because now I had to ask questions and ask for help and the not knowing. So I want to say the first couple of months, it was very, very tough. But then I quickly realized all those things I have heard about being in the broker space, they were all false. I know one of the things that I had been told is the lack of support, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Being in the broker space, you're working with a lot of different lenders, so they all have what they call an account executive, and that account executive is constantly sending you emails, text messages, and phone calls, just kind of refreshing you on what they're offering, what they specialize on, what they're doing with the rates. Also, if you have a special scenario, you're always welcome to give them a call. So again, the support that I thought I was going to miss from being in retail to broker, it has been there 100%.
What would you say is the biggest thing you like? The biggest thing you like that you say, you know what, this is a game changer for me as a loan officer.
Honestly, is me having the freedom of doing what I want to do with my commission. And let me tell you why. When I worked in retail, the rates were a little bit less competitive. Why? Because when you work in retail, there's a lot of different departments and costs that you have to pay for. So a lot of times the interest rate's going to be slightly higher because it has to cover the cost for all those different departments and all those
Definitely
salaries,
so. Yeah.
right? So now that I get to have direct access to the lending side and get full commission, it's up to me what I want to do with that money. And you've seen, Jose, I've been able, get this, I've been able to make more money with less production and give our clients thousands and thousands of credits to be able to even be more competitive in the interest rate. So to me, that was a big factor because not only am I giving our clients a better rate and I'm still giving them lender credit, I am making more money by doing so.
By being on this space.
Yes, because before, not to say that my rates weren't competitive, I think that we weren't the highest, we weren't the cheapest, but we were in the middle. But remember, my struggles all the time was like, oh my God, like I took my commission almost to nothing to be able to help out this client. But I always had that negative feeling like, crap, like I got to close 20, 25 loans to make the kind of money that I want because they're paying me little to nothing, right? So I think that being able to leverage what it pays and being able to give our clients the best rates and still make more money.
Perfect. And I understand you said earlier that it was tough at the beginning, but now that you've been there for a little while, is it as tough as you thought it was going to be?
No.
Okay.
No. And for those out there that are contemplating to make a jump, like I would encourage you to talk to the other side. Because I remember even for me, talking to the other side, I don't know if you remember, but Ben and Derek, who are the owners of the company I work for now, I met with them maybe 2 years before I made the switch. Mm-hmm. And even meeting with them, like I could not talk to anybody else. And I remember talking to them and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something bad. don't do that, because you're not doing a good, what is it? You're not doing a good service to your clients by not hearing what other options are out there. It's not only about you, but I mean, your clients are trusting you with a big purchase. You want to make sure you always stay competitive. And by you not talking to the other side, you're not getting the full details on what is out there. So, yeah, I mean, now that I look back, actually, it's been exactly 1 year. It's been exactly 1 year where I parted ways and came over to the broker space. And the only regret I have, honestly, is not doing it sooner.
I understand that.
Yeah. So that's been interesting. Being able to get perspectives from different underwriters and different lenders, I've learned on some things that I was never able to get done in the retail space that I could now do it in the broker space. So it's, right now it's tough. The rates are doing what rates do. So you always have to get creative and see how you can maximize that client's approval. So it's been a game changer for our clients and for my referral partners.
So, question for you. Now, I know, I mean, everything is great so far, and obviously it's been a good change. But just like anything, there's always good and bad, right? So, what would you say is the one thing that you wouldn't do, you would like that to be different?
The systems are a little different, right? You do have to be able to adapt quickly to change and learn new things, because now, before I logged into one portal and that's the one portal I used for all my loans, right? Now I have to use all these different portals. Just to sometimes even price an interest rate and price a scenario, I have to log into that particular lender to do what I need to do. So it's having to learn all those systems. But I'm going to be honest with you. I always like to say that I'm horrible with systems. Like, I don't like computers. I got to say, I'm very proud of myself because I had to learn it. Like, I have to upload these files and lock the rates and disclose them. I was very fortunate that before I would click and somebody would send the disclosures on my part. So it's been more clerical,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I miss. And honestly, I'm always going to miss my previous managers. I'm always going to, miss that.
Now, I guess for what I'm listening to you, the good thing is the bad thing in a way, right? Because you have a lot of banks to choose from, but because you do have a lot of them, you have to, I'm assuming, learn how each one has to be. Okay, that could be challenging at the beginning until you get the hang of every single one of them, right? And then they change stuff around, so you got to relearn whatever. So I can understand how challenging could be, but when you have too many options, that's the challenge of his own.
And one of my fears, again, because I'm so big on relationships, right? One of my fears was to have so many different options where, like, I would be scattered all over the place. But I have my top 3 lenders that I work with all the time, and I love them because sometimes I have a question and it's after hours, or sometimes I'm like, hey, help me rush this or help me out on that. So I've been able to establish some really good relationships with some of these account executives where they will do that. So, again, I was worried that I would just be a number, right? That at that point, when you come to the broker space, because it's so big, you become just a number. But no, you still get the ability to create those relationships with those account executives. So again, I do have access to all of these different banks, but I like to stay with like my top 3, 4 lenders that I work with.
Cool.
And to me also, it's very important for the client to have a smooth process too. So it's not always just about the rate, right? If getting a little bit a lower rate is going to cause to work with a lender that is just not working with you, where they're asking for all these conditions or not closing on time, I want my clients to have a pleasant experience. Because as you know, like, buying a house is nerve-wracking. It's a lot. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of stress. It's completely new to the client. So I like to work with companies and lenders that are going to make it easy for our clients. It's I don't like unnecessary stress. I don't like unnecessary documentation. I've been fortunate that I've been in the lending space for a while now, where I know I can have a professional conversation with my underwriter or the underwriter and disagree with them and show reasons and guidelines on why I disagree with the way they're approaching the loan. And there's been some times where, I am getting a loan that is going south and I'm like, no, no, no. The guideline says this. This is how I interpreted. This is the documentation I provided. So, sometimes you do have to have those conversations with the team on the other side.
Of course. Cool. Cool. Now, what advice you will give to maybe a lender or that is currently in the retail space and they've been thinking about the broker side of the business? What advice would you give them?
The main thing, right? The grass is green where you water it, right? So I'm not saying that the right choice is broker for everyone. And I'm not saying retail is great for everyone. It really is up to you which one you will make your
It's a
business
better
out of
fit
it.
for yourself,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I will tell you, because we have been in a market where rates have not been as they've been a little bit on the higher side than what we're accustomed to, because rates have been where they're at for such a long time. Do yourself a favor, instead of taking a reduction of commission to be able to stay competitive in the market, make the transition to the broker space. You get to leverage your commission. If you want to give credits to your seller to stay more competitive, you could do so and still make more money than what you make at the retail shop. I just had a conversation with a loan officer that I talked to last year. She was getting ready to make a move, and she's like, you know what? I'm just not ready to make a move in the retail space. And she ended up going, I'm sorry, she wasn't ready to make a move to the broker space. And I was just transitioning last year, right? So today she called me and she was running some ideas, not running ideas, I'm sorry. We were running some scenarios, and the amount of money that she makes at the brokers, at the bank that she works right now, I mean, she's making not even a third or fourth of what she could be making in money coming into the broker space. And I said, and not only that, it's not always about the money and what our compensation looks like. I say, look at the rates you're giving your clients.
That's right. I think is super important for you to stay competitive. You said it right? Obviously, it's your commission, but at the same time, is looking into what's going to be better for your client. So if there's something that you can do where you're going to benefit your client and still get paid more,
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer, right? I have a friend long time ago. He's like, Jose, it's a no-brainer. You know why? Because you don't need a brain for it. And it never makes sense to me. I always thought it was so dumb, but
it's a no-brainer.
it's a no-brainer. So meaning, and that's great, right? So if you're able to provide a better service to your client, you're able to provide a better rate, which means a better payment, that alone is a let's do it kind of situation, right? On top of that, I mean, the fact that, you commission might be a little bit better, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But I get it. It is challenging, right? To go in your own, to go into something like this, because frankly, you're going from retail, which you're technically an employee of the company,
Yes.
where now you're your own person, you're in your own business, right? So that alone is challenging as it is. Both of them are commission based, but if I'm not mistaken, you do have a little bit of a pay, right? Even if you don't close anything, you still have a pay on this
Yeah,
company.
you have guaranteed.
Where now you go to zero to whatever you make, right?
Yeah.
So that could be also challenging. So let me ask you that, how you can make that transition from going something somewhat secure
Yeah.
to like, hey, this is a full-time, this is a zero, no, this is a full commission situation base,
Well, at least for us, when we were contemplating making the switch, we had a healthy savings to back me up while I transitioned, right? That would be one of my advices. The other one is, I had a pretty healthy 401k with the company. So I knew I had a plan B just in case. But I mean, for me, there's only plan A. Like, you're going to make it work one way or another. So there was really only a plan A. The other thing I did notice too is, because I no longer get a pay stub, right? I don't have get taxes deducted. I know that when we filed our taxes last year, it was nice because I was able to write off a lot of other marketing and, you know, expenses that I had that I could not write off when I worked at the other
Yeah, that's
company.
right. Because you had expenses to do your business, but you
Yeah.
couldn't put them
I
on
couldn't
that
write
at
them
all.
off.
You couldn't write them off.
A
But
W-2 employee.
you did spend that money anyways, right? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
So that in itself was a raise too. So the pay structure, obviously as an independent contractor, is different. You're a 1099 employee.
Cool. Now, what changes or what difference have you felt that has made this to your family? That's not just so much to me, right? Because I
Yeah.
get it
Yeah.
in my particular case, but for the kids, right? So this is
Yeah.
probably something that, you know, someone out there is going to be asking themselves, you know, hey, so what kind of impact could a change like this can have in my family?
So that's a great question. I think that the main thing would be the freedom that I've been able to gain because now it takes less effort for the same amount of pay. So I have been able to leverage my time more, and due to that, we've taken quite a few trips, you know, in the last 12 months because of that, because of the freedom that I was able to gain.
Oh, excellent. Well, that's definitely a good point, right? In regards to that, to who doesn't want to do
The
less,
less,
gain more and do less, and then be able to spend more time with the family. I think
yeah,
all of us will want to spend more time with the kids, spend more time with the family, but a lot of the times our issue or struggle is to, like, if you spend a lot of time with the family, then that means that you're not making as much money, which
yeah,
means you're not able to provide as good, right? So the
correct,
providing part is always so critical. But I guess if you change to do something, and this is not just real estate, or it's mainly about building your own business, right? Like
yeah,
having your own business, being your own boss, you have the opportunity to do way more. I have known a lot of people who decide to go from working in a company to create their own business, and they work hard to build the business to where eventually now they're able to provide better for their family, and they have more flexibility, they have more time, you know.
yeah,
And this is very true about real estate, right? As a real estate agent, when I used to work in the company before, my time was very restricted, and I had the salary also not as well, it was great salary, don't get me wrong, but it got me to a certain point, and that was the end of it. Where now as a business owner, I'm creating more, I have more revenue
yeah,
that I can share with my family, and I'm doing it on less time. So if you're concerned about doing that jump or trying to, you know, create your own business, yeah, make sure you have the structure right and everything else. Don't just jump it without the plan, but is definitely worth the try in that leap
100%,
of faith on yourself first and foremost to do that, and then like start creating that for yourself and for your family.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys heard it. I mean, on the other side of fear is a big blessing. Is just making that jump. At the end of the day, if you're a good loan officer, you're gonna thrive in whatever setting. So why not thrive in a setting where you can be more competitive on the rates and not have to stress on having to close so many loans?
You know what? I agree with you 100% what the comment you just made. And with that, guys, we are done for the episode for today. Thank you for staying until the very end. And please do not forget to subscribe.
Remember, Mindset and Wealth, where we help one another build an empire.